good. It's good.
Good.
Good. Welcome back to the Escape Rope Podcast. My name is Foong.
I'm Ron.
I'm afraid.
We're all a little bit afraid sometimes, I think.
Don't you think?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's, everybody's scared of something, I think. And even if they say there's nothing I'm scared of, I think they're either lying to themselves or they're just
Are you referring to like physical fear of things?
No, I think some people are just really proud and say, or macho, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Say, I'm not scared of anything.
Nah, man. Like
but everybody's got, when we talk about fears, that's one thing. There's also insecurities. That's another thing, right? And fears and insecurities, I think they sort of go hand in hand.
Yeah, I think let's give a bit of context to the people out there. Hey guys, who's afraid? All right. So I think the main topic. Well, I don't think I know because I wrote this topic for today, right? So the main topic of today is I'm afraid. Right. Everybody's got things that they're afraid of, like Ron mentions. But the thing I'm mentioning right now, just to let you guys know what I'm afraid of, is myself.
You're afraid of yourself.
I'm afraid of myself. Not like I look in the mirror and like, oh shit.
That's an ugly dude.
Hey.
Oh, okay. Hey. Sorry.
I'm good looking, all right? Anyways, so I'll give you a couple of contexts, all right? So one thing I'm actually been afraid of, by the way, this is another thing I've been thinking about for the past week, again, is the little stories that I tell myself when I'm just interacting with my world. Okay. So why have I started thinking about this? One of the main reasons is because I saw this cute chick that works close to where I work. But hey, I got a girlfriend already. So what am I afraid of? My thing is like, oh, if I approach her, I'm already like telling myself like I'm doing bad towards my girlfriend. Do you know what I mean? So what am I afraid of is the repercussion of what could happen by saying a simple hello to this person. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I mean, I think that's certainly not uncommon.
Yeah.
If it's not a girl, it could be somebody that you look up to and that you want to talk to, but you're sort of maybe scared of how they might perceive you.
Yeah.
How you interact with them. It could be anything. And just because, you
for that one, that's actually my boss.
Okay.
Because like for that one, is the little story I tell myself in my mind is like, oh, he owns this company, he owns this shop, so whatever I do, I must ask for permission first. So I feel like I can't really do my work properly without thinking, having an afterthought, thinking about, oh, this could be wrong.
Yeah.
So
that's something that I was going through for a while, and I think that is something that is hard to sometimes get over.
Yeah.
It is a kind of a mental block for a lot of people, including myself. Yeah, but like I say,
reprimanding.
So confidence just comes through repetition. So you keep doing something, keep doing the same thing, keep doing something right. That'll give you confidence that the next time you do it, you're going to do it right. And you've been at that job for how long? Like 6 months?
Yeah.
6 months? Yeah. I'm sure there's still some things that...
It's still there. It's still like I think it's happened for every single job that I've ever taken. I feel like I've never been able to do my job properly.
But what about like when you're doing it for yourself?
I don't get that thought.
Really?
Because I don't have anyone sort of looking over, like thinking in my head, like I have no one looking over me. So I am confident enough to screw things up because the only person I have to answer to is myself.
Well, it's kind of funny that you say that, and this is getting quite interesting now because I'm sort of the opposite of you.
Really?
I'm actually afraid of doing things for myself because the only person that I have to answer to is myself, and
right.
If I fail, I'm the only person I can blame.
Sure.
Or I'm the only person that I can go to. If there's somebody above you, that you can say you can almost share that failure with somebody else. Ultimately, it's not your responsibility. There's somebody above you, but your the markets, for example, if that failed, the farm, if that failed, you kind of only have yourself to point the finger at, and that to me is a lot more a much scarier prospect than failing and having to own up to it with somebody who's above me.
Right. That's strange. That's a very strange dichotomy that we're having right now, right? Don't you think?
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a couple of things. I wrote a whole list here. For example, like scared of giving the customer the wrong information, scared of being scared of my stutter. By stuttering, I mean because I stutter, I sound like I don't know my shit.
Right.
So it's like a question of confidence as well, and also scared of being myself. Because when you interact with other people, you're a different person. You try to act nicer, you try to censor yourself a little bit more. But whereas for me, like I think I've been trying to get comfortable with this, is that I lean on the selfish side a little bit.
Sure.
Okay. So because I want to do things for myself. And the thing, when I do that, automatically I think, oh, people are gonna think of me as selfish, someone who's egoistic, who's negative. It's just that's the whole thing that I'm afraid of.
But in your head, you sort of know that you want to be selfish.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you still want other people's approval.
Exactly.
To be selfish.
That's right.
Okay.
It's a very strange thing because I feel like when I go about my day, that afterthought is always isn't an afterthought? No, it's not an afterthought. It's like the thought at the back of my mind.
Yeah.
It's always dictating on how I interact with other people. Okay.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I go up to a person, a customer, or someone that I want to meet, for example, straight away I'm like, watch what you say because they might perceive you in a certain way. Now it's like that whole mindset of like having Asian parents always trying to save face. You know what I mean?
It's very Asian. Yeah.
It's very Asian, right?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you're not going to be free unless you be yourself, unless you own your own shit. By owning my own shit, meaning like you own up to who you are.
Most Asian parents are like that. They don't want they want to save face. They want to feel like they've shamed their their parents or whoever. And I think in the same way that does sort of get passed down to us. So when we do things what we're scared of doing, it's almost like we don't want to either shame our parents or shame ourselves. And it's hard to get over.
Right. Do you have anything you're scared of?
Like spiders.
That's physical.
I think it's not. I've told you about this many times, and it's something that you don't seem to have. Public speaking is difficult.
I would love to be able to do some public speaking, but that when I think about doing public speaking, I'm afraid of people hearing my stutter. And
the difference between that is that with public speaking, at least you're prepared. You know what you're trying to say. You're not trying to think on the spot. But like I said, when I've had to present many times. For the most part, most of the time it's gone fairly smoothly. But leading up to it, there's still that fear. There's still that I don't know if it's fear, but almost like
stress.
I sort of run that the scenario in my head, like, okay, I suddenly don't know what to say. Everybody's watching, or I say something and some person is like thinking, oh, this guy's an idiot or whatever.
Yeah. That scares the crap out of me.
That's one of the reasons why I don't like it.
It's very uncomfortable. It is a very uncomfortable feeling. And
but then why are you keen to do public speaking then?
Because I want to face that fear. That's something I want to do. I want to be confident. I want to be thought as confident. That's basically why. By the way, the title, a placeholder that I put for this particular episode was from a book I heard, from an audiobook I heard in the morning. So the title I wanted to put for this podcast was called "Women Want Me and Men Want to Be Me." Isn't that the epitome of confidence in a man?
Very, very confident.
Yeah. Well, that's why I put it down. I'm like, hey, this is cool. By the way, this book is about a serial killer.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, that's all right. Well, that's different.
Yeah.
But yeah. So when it comes to confidence, you're saying that there's confidence is almost the central theme in
Exactly.
the fear that you have, that you lack the confidence to do certain things, which
and that dictates a lot of the things I do. It dictates a lot of inactivity that I don't pursue. I mean, for example, for our podcast, it was the longest time. For the longest time, we spent like 6 months of not releasing. It was because we were afraid of like putting it out there for people to hear.
Yeah.
And my main reason to do, because you know how I'd like to do public speaking one day. I'd like to be that person that people make videos about and say like, oh, cool, this is a confident guy. I need to emulate that person.
Yeah.
Straight up, like I want to be able to help people that way. And I don't know if this is called narcissistic or egoistic or selfish, but it's what I want to be, what I want to do, right? What was I saying? Yes, so the podcast. Like, I mean, one of the main reasons why I wanted to do the podcast is because I want to tackle that fear. I want to be able to finally show to myself that I can be that person, that confident person that I want to be, right?
And on that point, you mentioned about the whole 6 months of just recording, but not going out there and not putting it out there.
Yeah.
Even the video format of this, I was not confident, about putting us out there, because I don't know. I just, there's that fear of, what if this guy, this person sees me on YouTube and say, hey, yeah, you're that guy, and then like, oh, you look like a dork, or whatever.
Yeah.
And that, I think even that has delayed our YouTube
it has, yeah,
presence. And because we've always had the equipment to do this, and it's just, I guess, that fear, the lack of confidence.
That's right.
But even from the very beginning, even though I knew that this is going to go, even at least the audio is going to go out, I wasn't, in the back of my mind, I was thinking, there's probably a chance that this won't go out, so I can be less fearful of what I say. Like, there's that still that, even though we both talk about, okay, this is going to go out there, there's that still that little chance that it won't go out there. So I'm like, oh, I can be comfortable in that little 1%.
Sure.
And that alone is big enough for us to have delayed this thing at least 6 months, right?
See, that little thing can grow into a negative experience for yourself, don't you think?
Yeah.
Let me give you an example. This is my personal something that happened to me on the weekend on the way to Canberra, and I was glad that it happened because it allowed me to think differently. Now, this is about my relationship with Abby, right?
Sure.
So we've been together for 6 years, Abby and I, right? So in 6 years' time, you'd expect the relationship to go really well, right? But in saying that, like, I've actually like approached her on the way to Canberra and said like, hey, I need to talk to you because I think we've been letting ourselves go, and I think I'm losing a little bit of attraction to you. I said that to her. Okay. So you can kind of see where this conversation is going, where it got negative for a little bit, but at the end, we kind of talked about it, and now we're actually feeling pretty good about each other. Things move. Things are getting done because I was able to, me, Abby and I, we were able to confront that fear. Right. So had I not talked about it or released my fear, who knows where this relationship could have gone down.
And then I'm sure this is something that has been on your mind for a while.
Of course.
It's just that maybe that 1% that's held you back from speaking to her about it.
That's right. Even now, like talking to the camera, I'm like heating up. My body's heating up because I'm like, I'm kind of scared of talking about this because this is very personal. But the intention was that, hey, I want to fix this relationship, so I want to express my fear. Now, if you're not able to talk about this to each other, when I say to each other, it's like to Abby and I, like talking to each other, then things won't be able to get fixed because things are not, how do I put it?
Things can't progress.
Exactly, yes.
If you don't, especially if you know what the issue is, but you don't bring it up because you're you're afraid, or
Yep.
you're afraid of the outcome, or whatever it might be.
Mm.
But it sounded like it got to a stage where if you want to progress, it has to be done.
Yeah.
And facing that fear and amassing that confidence just to ask, just to say what you have to say.
Mm.
This is very relatable on many levels and in many scenarios. It's not just something as serious as as a 6-year relationship, but
Yep.
something like if you see somebody that you admire, and you drum up the courage to ask them, hey, ask them a question you've always wanted to ask. That question might not ever be asked if you don't just go for it.
Yeah. That's scary to think. That is scary to think. Even so, like, it's still hard to approach people that you actually want to ask question, or there's a point that you want to bring up. It's very uncomfortable.
Yeah. And here's another thing as well. This is something that I think especially a lot of guys don't do.
Yeah.
Is ask for help. So when it comes to something that they feel like that they can't seem to figure out or can't seem to navigate through, they like to keep to themselves. They can figure out themselves. They don't ask for help.
Isn't that called toxic masculinity?
A little bit of that. I think there's like that expectation that guys, men can should be able to figure out themselves.
Should be tough, shouldn't cry, all that stuff.
Yeah, but then but a lot of times you can't get through that obstacle if you don't get help, and sometimes you just have to go just nut up and ask the question.
Have you ever asked for help?
Yeah,
about something that was really hard for you to overcome?
Plenty of times. They certainly were difficult conversations to have.
Yeah.
But even something small like asking for help at work, like if I don't have the capacity to do something, asking for help is still difficult. Say, hey, I need a little bit more help with this thing because I don't have, the time to work on this. But in my mind, the whole thing is, you give me this task, I'm going to get it done. But that's not always possible. So having the confidence to be able to just ask the question, ask for help, or make a comment, that can go a long way.
Yeah.
I'll tell you another thing.
Yeah.
In meetings, for example, sometimes I'm a little bit scared to say something. Like I know, like there's a question I have in my head. Like something gets presented, I got a question about something. I'm like replaying that question in my head 30, 40, 50 times before I might ask it.
So you actually like asking the question in your head.
I'm like, okay, is the time? Is the time?
Wow.
And then a lot of times it's just that moment just passes. It's frustrating that that it's because I'm scared that, hey, is it a dumb question? Is this a question that was already answered? Is it a question that that I should already know? Like, it's an answer I should already know. Am I exposing myself as an idiot by asking that question? So there's all of like these little questions that you ask yourself, and the fear of looking dumb is probably a huge inhibitor of people doing the things that they want to do.
Yeah. I think I heard it somewhere, but a lot of the times, I think someone said this to me, but a lot of the time people are in their own world. They don't give a crap about who you are, what you are, or what they think about you.
100%.
That's the thing is, like, that's what 80% of the time, that's what's going on in their head, and you think that it's all about you. You think that, because I'm going to raise this question, I'm going to look stupid in front of everybody.
Yeah, and that's like the paradox of that is that you're thinking about all these things. You think about how this affects you, even though most likely nobody really cares. Nobody's thinking about these things.
That's right. Yeah.
But the fact that you're thinking about it, that's almost like the most selfish and egotistical thing that you can possibly think of, because you think that everybody's thinking about you. You think everybody's judging you. You think that everybody's just trying to see what you're going to do next. But that's probably not the case.
I really need to get that out of my head. Now, I think we've talked enough about like what we're afraid of, and what most people are afraid of, and what not to do. What not to think other people are thinking about you, right? So I think I've read 2 articles, right? One from Tim Ferris and the other one from Jocko, our good mate Jocko. So Tim Ferris talks about defining your fear, like legit playing a thought experiment on your fear. For example, you're at that meeting. What could happen if I ask that question? What's the worst thing that can happen? The person presenting might be, oh, hey, I've already answered that question. Refer to this page. That's probably the worst thing that can happen, right? He's not gonna say, hey, you're dumb. You weren't listening to me. What the fuck were you doing, right? So Tim Ferriss defines about like think up of the worst thing that could happen if you were to approach someone or approach a situation in the way that you would if you didn't hide yourself because you're afraid of like putting yourself out there.
Yeah.
Right. So so defining your fear and figuring it out. Now that you've already figured it out, okay, cool, that can happen. Just put it out there to see what happens. And then see what the outcome is. Does it match your worst fear? If not, then you know that most of the time nothing's going to happen.
Okay. What if it does match your worst fear?
So let me bring up the article. He talks about where is it? So once you define it, think up of how you could prevent it.
Okay. Yeah.
The other one is if your worst fear happened, okay, how can you repair it? Okay. So it's like an if then scenario.
Yeah.
Okay. So you've defined it. You've given yourself a couple of scenarios. You've also like already set like how you could repair it and also set how you can avoid it. Right.
Okay.
So for example, like if we're going to take the example of like, hey, approaching a girl that you want to talk to. All right, cool. She rejects you. Cool. All right. You go back to normal. Go find someone else.
Yeah. I think that one of the reasons why people are scared to do it, and one reason why I'm scared to do it is because like that rejection is going to replay in my mind for days. It's gonna pop up 15 years from now and be like, oh, okay, maybe I shouldn't talk to this person because of something that happened 15 years ago. You know, it's like I guess that's probably the worst case scenario. But yeah, that's a real fear.
Man, this topic was kind of hard for me to talk about. You know?
Yeah,
like, I think half the time in this episode I wasn't making any sense because I was afraid of what I was gonna say.
It's funny you say that because when we talk about the topic of fear and confidence, those are two things that I don't feel like I'm super confident. I don't feel like I'm, I am fearful of many things, but talking about it is almost fairly easy. Maybe not specific examples, but when we talk about things that are holding you back from progressing, I feel pretty open in talking about the process of how those actions are holding me back.
Can you repeat that? I didn't really understand that.
So when I think about what you just said about this being tough, I feel like in a way this is, for one, I think easy, and two, it's almost like something I want to talk about because it helps me. What's that word, like compute in my head, like
go
why?
Through it, like, and that's why I wanted to talk about it because it's legit something I've been thinking about for a week, and it shouldn't be like that. I shouldn't be afraid of something for a week, right?
Yeah. So how did it go when you talk to the girl?
Yeah,
that's normal.
Just hey, how you going?
Yeah.
Still a little bit of fear there. Like, all right, cool. Now I think, all right, I've talked to the girl. Now focus back on your relationship. That's how I think about it now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think especially when like the fear of talking to girls is something that generally comes from younger days when you're less confident or have less things going for yourself.
But then again, you have to think about my situation. I've been in a committed relationship for 6 years, and I've lost touch with the game, as they say.
I can't imagine you trying to flirt these days, man.
That's the thing. I'm super afraid of that. Like,
what's the flirt game like?
What is it like? Because I got a mate who's single at the moment, and it's not me. It's not you. So he actually says that the dating scene right now is legit just about apps.
Oh, yeah.
And like it's all about gamifying it now.
Yeah, I'm sure there was a gamification of the game back in the day as well without apps, but
Mm.
I guess it's easier to make it a game nowadays.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't like, I mean, I might be old school about this, but I just don't like the act of swiping left and right. And
but it's a lot easier than trying to talk to somebody. Imagine all the girls you swipe like or whatever. Imagine that. Let's say in a day.
And what does that do to your? The thing is, what does that do to your confidence if you're not going to confront and hide behind a freaking swipe of a thumb?
But I think that's why it's easy, because you don't actually have to. Because when you get a match or whatever, it's like they already want to talk to you.
Yeah.
There's like, it removes that sort of doubt that, hey, maybe this person doesn't want to talk to me. You know, in the same day, you might have to talk to, say, 50 girls or whatever. just one person might give you the time of the day.
Yeah.
That's like 49 rejections that you have to deal with.
Yeah. Before I forget, though, I do want to bring up Jocko's. This is your favorite. Jocko's notion of good. Do you mind giving us a little bit of a context here?
Yeah. So anytime that anything goes wrong, just say the keyword good, because it's an opportunity to do something better. It's an opportunity to what's that word? I don't know, like fight the fear that you have. It's an opportunity to it's an opportunity to do something. So basically, just don't look at it as a negative event or a negative situation.
So reframing it
into an opportunity.
Yeah,
and look at it as, hey, this is a positive. This is good.
Let me quote from Jocko. I think this is one of the videos that you've shown me as well. Like, he goes, "Oh, the mission got cancelled. Because he was a Navy SEAL. Good. Now let's focus on another mission. Right? Didn't get promoted. Good. More time to get better. Right? Didn't get funded. Good. We own more of the company. That's the thing. That's what the notion of good is to Jocko. And I think you've internalized that quite a bit, and you've
as much as I can. Yeah. It's definitely an interesting mindset to have, a very productive one.
Yeah.
But to put into practice is not easy either. I think it's something that takes reps.
Yep.
You gotta look at every negative experience as an opportunity to grow.
Yeah. I think we're time, man.
Yeah.
Before we go, though, I do want to challenge you guys, and there's a couple of things I want to say. This is also a challenge for me, because I was thinking about this while I was like writing this episode. I was like, what am I afraid of? Like, what are the things that I can actually jot down and get it out of my mind? So here's a challenge. All right, so you're afraid of talking to somebody, afraid of talking to that girl, that guy, whatever you're into. I'm cool with that. Go up to them tomorrow. Just talk to them. Just, hey, just one hello. See where it brings you. If it doesn't, good. Again, that Jocko quote. Good. Move on. Didn't get talk to your boss. You want to get a raise. You didn't get it? Good. You know where you stand. Right? Also, this is pretty deep as well. If you have had something that you've been thinking about, go see a therapist. All right. That also could get it out of your mind. Right. That's a challenge for you guys. Are you scared of something? Are you asking the question over and over and over again? Get it out there. See what happens.
A lot of times that's the only way to break that cycle. Just to take it from that internal dialogue and just putting it out there. That's a good way to break that cycle.
Anyways, I do hope that we did this topic justice, because I think I was stumbling around a little bit because I was a bit afraid of.
Well, I mean, it is a legitimate fear that you have. So
yeah. So, anyways, guys, like, subscribe, and hit that notification button. Also, comment. We'd love to hear from you. We've had a couple of people comment already. That's great. That's awesome. Like, I know where I stand. I've actually like implemented a couple of
feedback.
Yeah, a couple of like fixes. Yeah, like our introduction was too long. We didn't get to the main topic in time. So, anyways, do you have anything else to say?
No. Well, where can they find us?
Oh, yes. People can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter.
And if you want to support us, the best way to do that is really just to leave a comment, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and just leave us a comment, leave us some feedback. That's the best way for us to grow. If you do want to help us from a monetary standpoint, there is also Patreon.
Yeah.
$2 a month. That's all we're asking for. And yeah, we'd love to hear from all of you.
All right, guys. Bye.
See ya.